TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes.
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Blurson at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting Premier Podcast TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite shows are AEW Dynamite, Fyter Fest, Nights 1 and 2, 2021, and Fight for the Fallen. And joining me to talk about these three shows, 6 hours of Dynamite crammed into a short podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chris Bailey. Chris Bailey, how do you do?
You're lucky that I made this show, Mark Radulich, because just before this announcement, I signed a contract for All Elite Wrestling. So Chris Bailey is now All Elite with everybody else. You're damn right.
Well, good. You get to do. I hope. I hope in your introduction, the lights go out. They go back on again. You're standing there, and then somebody throws you into a coffin, and Nick Gage drags you away.
Well done, sir. The only thing that I want to do in that company is kick Cody Rhodes in the head. Outside of that, I'm good.
Just drop the mic and walk out.
Malachi Bailey.
Hey, real quick, and I do mean quick. Bray Wyatt is the big news of the last couple of days.
Yeah,
he had been posting pictures like you do of him slimming down. He was getting into shape, and the rumor was that he was about to make his return to television. And like a lot of guys, take the leash off the dog. Sorry. Like a lot of guys, they right before like Malachi Black, they had been running Tommy End, Aleister Black. They had been running promos on, and then he was supposed to come back to television, and they cut him. This seems to be happening a lot. The story with Bray Wyatt allegedly is that he got cut for budgetary reasons, which everyone thinks is bullshit. This, of course, brought up the rumors that WWE is trimming the budget. There's true rumors. It's trimming the budget for a sale. That's rumor A. Rumor
Yes.
B is they no longer give a shit if people go over to AEW because here's my first thought on this, and then I'll shut up and let you talk. Nobody that has gone to AEW from John Moxley to Sting has dramatically improved that company. Now, I understand a big chunk of that time was COVID, and so who can say that they're now a year behind of where they might have been in terms of progression and growing their audience, but their television ratings are about the same as they've been since the beginning. That is measurable. That hasn't changed, and that hasn't been affected by anything. They have spikes here or there, and their pay-per-views, I think, are incrementally doing better. But if you're the WWE and you're just looking at and you're not like emotionally invested in all of this, you're just looking at things from a financial point of view. There's an argument to be made for nobody that AEW has acquired has changed anything for the better for them financially. So the WWE therefore doesn't give a shit if people go there anymore. It's not like, Hogan goes over there and takes a whole bunch of WWE fans with them, or, makes them, gives them opportunity, like his cachet, gives them opportunities for better television deals and all of that. None of that seems to be in play right now. So they figure they can cut guys like Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt because they all save money and it really doesn't matter. And my last point on this, and I'll take a breath, is that like Samoa Joe, they might just be cutting guys because there was a rash of signings where they hired guys for exorbitant amounts of money just to keep them away from AEW. Where again, that no longer seems to be, and there no longer seems to be a need for that. They don't need to retain guys for high sums of money, so they can cut them, renegotiate, and rehire them for significantly less. So that was a vomiting of thoughts on this subject.
All right, so let's start it out. Let's go rapid fire here. So Bray Wyatt, absolute shocker. They still had the gimmick in play with Alexa Bliss, so I guess we're not going to see the logical conclusion to that storyline. I know Alexa has taken a lot of heat online with everyone she works with. Ends up being canned or fired, which is unfortunate. And I mean, she's really getting some abuse. So, if you're online, oh yeah, really, really bad. So if you're abusing Alexa Bliss, grow up, you meatheads. That's what I'll tell you. It's a storyline, but WWE in an absolute shocker. I don't know where he's going to land, but I tell you what, they've got a talent there, and on his own, he's a creative genius. So this is another guy that I shake my head at and go, man, you're letting a creative mastermind go down the pipes here. So tough loss for Bray Wyatt, but he will land on his feet. I'll tell you that, because those Wyndham boys, they tend to land on their feet. So good for them. There you go. Outside of that, yeah, definitely they're clearing the ledger. I am going to argue your point, though, about not making a noticeable difference in the ratings. We didn't have a fair barometer when it came to COVID, of course. Now we're seeing the end result of all the hype and everything right now. So where during COVID they were popping about 750,000 viewers, this past week with Chris Jericho and Nick Gage, they did 1,058,000.
Wow.
That is a massive increase for them crossing that median line.
All fucking day.
I'm telling you right now, Domino's Pizza can suck a dick, because I tell you what, that Nick Gage brought in I don't know if it was Nick Gage, but I tell you what, there's a lot of sum of parts that are happening over on AEW. They have the buzz, and you're starting to see slowly but surely ratings pops. Now, are they sustainable? Like you said, will they be at 750 next week? Quite possible. But momentum and buzz is definitely on the side of AEW right now. It's exactly where they want to be.
Last word on this, and then we'll move on. There are guys that go over to AEW and they show up and it's like, meh. But there are guys that when they show up, I'm like, you're actually a really good fit for this company, not for all the right reasons. And Bray Wyatt is one of those guys, because I think Bray Wyatt is a super creative, out of the box thinker. And, I mentioned this in another chat with some wrestling buddies. AEW is the place to go where there doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of control. Right. There has to be in order to put a program on the air. But what I mean is, like, people want to do something. It's like, go do a thing. Matt Hardy, you want to be a crazy promoter guy? Go do your thing. Darby Allin, you want to jump into coffins? Do your thing.
Yep. It's great.
For better or for worse, and many times for worse, but sometimes for better, guys can play out their thoughts, their creative ideas, and for a lot of guys, it's not so much about the money. If they have enough money to buy a sandwich and pay their mortgage, they're fine with that as long as they're allowed to be free and be creative. And AEW is that place. So a guy, I think, like Bray Wyatt, it remains to be seen if it'll pay off in the end or if it'll be good. But I think mentally for him, he'll be out of the sort of staid controlling WWE and be in a place where, if he wants to show up to the ring with his pants on his head, he can do that. So
do you know what would really be a great deal for, and I'll be super quick with this, for Bray Wyatt is obviously have a plan in place. So if you're going to AEW, if you're going to Impact, or heaven forbid Ring of Honor, wherever you're going to land, do some indie appearances first with that whole lights out, lights on. Here's the here's the Fiend type gimmick, and I know they can't do the Fiend, but he's definitely going to do a play on either Bray Wyatt or a hybrid with the Fiend. Something, he's going to have some hybrid of that, I guarantee it, and have some fun building up that indie cred. You don't want to go to AEW right now with CM Punk basically on the doorstep, Daniel Bryan signed, Adam Cole potentially going to be flexing in there as of this morning, working without a contract that's been discovered. So guess who his chickie boo is? Miss DMD herself, Miss Britt Baker. So logical conclusion would be, if they don't tighten up the reins, is that Adam Cole could be on the doorstep. He's trending right now on Twitter, right now as we speak.
I would love for Adam Cole to be in AEW, because at this point, like, he's not going to make an impact on the roster. He doesn't have the size for it. Exactly. And he'll just, like, if they can't use Matt Riddle right, they're not going to use Adam Cole right. So you might as well just go to AEW and have best bout machine matches with Kenny Omega. And I'm there for it,
Or pair him up with Matt Riddle and give him a scooter too, and they could be the Scooter Twins. It'd be great.
Please walk into traffic, Chris Bailey.
All right, let's get into the show, brother.
Yes,
let's talk some
sir.
wrestling.
Fyter Fest. Night one kicked off with Jon Moxley and Carl Anderson for the IWGP U.S. Heavyweight Championship. And, I don't know. What did you think of this one? This to me was kind of one of those matches where I think it was more for the gimmick and for the angle than it was to have a match. What did you think?
Absolutely. So, the entire thing is built around the IWGP Championship. They have a partnership with New Japan once again. Mm-hmm. You're going to have, a lot of their talent coming over, and you got to see, as you'll see a bit later on, that Tanahashi is on his way over to possibly take on Moxley. So this was just a cog in the wheel to get there, defending that IWGP title. Inconsequential match, no question who was going to win this one, Moxley over Carl Anderson in 11 minutes. Yeah, you know what? Pretty fun match. You got a lot going on there with Jon Moxley. He's got that crowd wrapped around his fingers. It's sort of sad to see him taking a break from Eddie Kingston, but it was fine.
So they did a promo at Lance Archer to set up their return match. It was a year or so ago. Jon Moxley beat Lance Archer for the U.S. IGW, whatever it is, the Japanese belt, the U.S.
IWGP.
Version. Thank you. He beat Lance Archer for it. And now they are going to have a Texas Death Match and a return bout for said belt. So Lance Archer did a promo. Lance Archer can talk.
Oh yeah.
I said back when it happened, I don't know if this guy really needs Jake the Snake. And the more they just leave, the more Lance Archer keeps pushing Jake the Snake in the pool, the more I'm like, wow, you really don't need Jake the Snake. You're just fine as a crazy monster machine on your own. I just want to see him and Miro, just tear apart the locker room.
Exactly. And I think Jake the Snake, if I was him, and I'm seeing the Murder Hawk cutting these promos, I'm concerned about my job security. Put it that way.
Yeah. Should have made him head of the Dark Order, but whatever.
Yep.
Then we went to another promo. This is El Idolo, Andrade. He starts talking about how he wants to take on the Death Triangle. I was barely paying attention when he talked. This is a guy who I think will do well in AEW because people just want to wrestle their matches. But I didn't have any interest in him when he was the hot thing in NXT. I had zero interest in him when he was on the Raw main roster, and I continue to have zero interest in him in AEW. So for all of you work rate snobs, have fun with this guy. I don't give a shit.
As we'll see a little bit later on as the show progresses, his punch card elevates quite substantially. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. All right. The next segment was Team Taz Implodes. This was Ricky Starks with Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Brian Cage. I mean, not to quote, Jim Cornette so early in the podcast, but why don't they just piss in Brian Cage's mouth?
Just as well. I mean, you're what are you doing with this guy? He's got he is built and designed in a WWE wrestling action figure prototype, and they're doing nothing with this guy. It's a sin.
I would almost say like they need to just trade some guys, and Brian Cage needs to go to the WWE, but they also had EC3 and they couldn't get with him either. So it's like, I don't know. They're
frustrating.
I wish there was a third option in terms of wrestling companies that just specialize like the WWE does in big guys, but doesn't suck. So isn't boring as shit. Otherwise, Brian Cage would be great over there. Anyway, Ricky Starks ended up winning the FTW World Championship in just under 10 minutes. They did the thing with the belt where Ricky Starks wanted the belt to hit Brian Cage with. Hobbs wouldn't give it to him. It's like, no, play fair. Stuff happened. The ref's back was turned, and then Hobbs hit him with the belt. Ha!
It was cool. I really did like that. Yep, it was good. And you knew that the dissension that they've been playing up with Brian Cage, and Taz seemed to take Brian Cage's side a couple times, and you're like, interesting spin here, dissension in the ranks. But they were playing this guy for a fool, and Brian Cage is now out of Team Orange.
Yep. Whatever. It's like,
but Ricky Starks is now the Fuck the World champion, so there you go.
Yeah, well, him and his broken neck. Whatever. That's fine.
He's a good champion. He's got charisma for days, man. I like Ricky Starks.
No, I like Ricky Starks too. I just like they have 107 guys on this roster, and they're making guys in the same faction fight each other.
Yes.
Whatever. The next
you know
thing,
what I don't like, Mark, is this next match. Go ahead and tee it up.
Well, before we got to the next match, we had yet another promo. Cody Rhodes is mad.
Oh, he upset.
He's so mad. So the prior week, Tommy End, formerly Aleister Black, currently Malachi Black.
What a mess.
Schmageggy McGee. Kicked a senior citizen in the face, just knocked Arn Anderson's teeth out. And then Cody Rhodes got in the ring and was like, hey, get your damn hands off her, Biff. And then he got kicked in the face. So Cody Rhodes came out and it was like, hey, quit kicking people in the face, shithead.
Yep.
And that was about the extent of that promo. And then now they're going to have a match, I think, on the next, I think on Homecoming, So
basically all you have to do to get in AEW is kick Cody Rhodes in the head, and you're good at least for a month.
Yeah, if they let you in the ring to do it, sure.
Yeah.
Because they had the one guy that attacked MJF. They didn't give him a contract. I'm surprised they didn't.
Man, you know what would be great if you pair Malachi Black with QT Marshall and all this. Never mind.
You know what would be great? They compare the guy who attacked MJF and jumped the rail with the girl Braun Strowman was or boy, whatever it was, that Braun Strowman was a tag team partner with.
Why not? Why not?
And then have them managed by Ms. Girl. Anyway.
Perfect.
Moving on.
No, don't move on. Let's stop the podcast.
So I'm reading this from WrestleTalk.com, and the next thing it says here is Page versus Omega build heats up, which is hilarious because this was July 14th, and shortly after this is when the Daniel Bryan and CM Punk stuff broke, and now as of like the day before, they were building towards Page versus Omega, and theoretically Page was going to kick out of the One-Winged Angel and beat Omega for the AEW title. And now he's not even his opponent at all out. They're switching tracks, which makes me not want to bother talking about what happened next.
Guess who's going to be lined up to take his place, though, Mark Radulich? This is exciting. He's in this match.
Go ahead. Talk about it.
Oh, Christian Cage. I mean, Mr. Money, the big surprise. He was brought in with like a ticker tape parade in Universal Studio, and Jimmy Hart was there, and everybody loved his end. No, they didn't do that. But anyway, he got paid a lot of money to come into AEW. He's here in a 13 minutes of my life was spent watching Christian Cage defeat Matt Hardy in this match. Now they did a match, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, which took the Hangman out of the main event picture. And apparently the rumor is that Christian Cage will be slotted in for the title shot against Kenny Omega. I am ready to puke, Mark Radulich.
Oh joy, oh rapture. This whole promo allegedly built up the 5-on-5, the Elite versus the Dark Order match.
Yeah,
right,
which was a event in itself. We'll talk about that a bit later.
All right, so Chris Jericho wants a return match with MJF, and MJF is like, "Well, fine, but you have to do 5 labors in order to get there." And so
I love that. The 5 labors.
Yeah. So the first one is that he has to wrestle Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears can use a chair and Chris Jericho can't. And so this whole promo was to introduce the 5 labors gimmick and to tell him that his first labor is going to be Shawn Spears, which is the following week, I believe.
Right.
All right. Matt Hardy versus Christian. You already talked about that. I didn't care about this match when it was on SmackDown 23 years ago.
That's the problem. Like these guys, we've seen this, done that 1 million times. Did they do anything different to say that this is now our AEW match and we're allowed to do whatever we want in the match? They did nothing. They wrestled a very, very basic WWE style match and it stunk.
Yeah. I don't care.
It existed and that was it.
There's a Miro vignette. And I'll tell you, Miro is my favorite wrestler right now.
Oh, he is on fire.
I need a God's favorite champion T-shirt. I got my
Me too.
I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I now need a fucking God's favorite champion. Dude, he's so good. Like, this is a guy who you realize the WWE messed up so bad. And I know, like, like him and Jim Cornette got into it, and so Jim Cornette doesn't see the value in Miro and calls him Bluto and all this stuff. But like, I don't need him to be a Mensa student. I need him to be a big dumb killing machine, and he's so good at it.
Which is what he started out in WWE as the super Russian heel. He was the best Russian heel they've ever had coming out on the tank. He had Lana, the heater, heating him up. It was so good. I mean, he was on fire, and then he just dove off a cliff.
Yeah, well,
he's found his niche. He has found his niche right now. Dude, this is what we've always wanted to see.
As soon as he said he was God's favorite champion, I'm like, 110% in. Yes, more of this. Like, he has lost his fucking mind, but like, he's so big and bad, who cares? It's so good. More of this, less of Matt Hardy versus Christian, more of God's favorite champion. I am enjoying Miro, and every time he's on TV, there's a lot of AEW. There's a lot of what I watched in these 3 shows where I was kind of just looking at my phone or up making soup or something. And when Miro comes to the TV, I'm like, everything stops. Miro gets my 110% full attention. They did another interview. This time it was Tony Schiavone and his girlfriend Britt Baker.
Yes.
This
good
was
for Tony.
Yeah. This was to sell her upcoming match with Nyla Rose for the 110th time. Yippee skippy. All right. I don't know what a Wheeler Yuta is, but he took on Sammy Guevara.
So Wheeler Yuta came out of nowhere. So, they're building up, the best friends angle. They got, Chuck Taylor. They got Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta. They've also added in, the good old alien herself. What's her name? Her name is escaping me right now.
Christian Slater.
You know who I'm talking about. The girl, the alien.
Yeah, I know.
Statlander. Chris Statlander.
I was close.
Yes, I know. So Statlander, now they've added out of nowhere somebody who just doesn't fit. Wheeler Yuta, who is like the most super indie of indie guys with some of the worst trunks you'll ever see. And he's in there against Sammy Guevara. These guys had a hell of a match, to be quite honest with you. It was only like 4 minutes. You gave 13 minutes to Christian Cage and Matt Hardy, and you only gave 4 to someone who could actually wrestle in Sammy Guevara. And he had a very, very good match against Wheeler Yuta, which was like an absolute nobody with no explanation why he's involved with, Orange Cassidy's get-along gang here. But apparently he is, and we just have to accept that. And Sammy Guevara beats the snot out of this guy and takes the win. I love Sammy. I got nothing bad to say about this. Good showcase. They put him in there with a guy who could hang with him, and it was good. Good 4 minutes of action.
Yeah. I miss the Sex Gods,
Yes.
I do. Speaking of sex gods, so hot blonde, random Japanese chick in genie pants.
Yes.
Random Japanese chick in genie pants beats hot blonde.
Okay, then. Why? Why is this happening?
Because AEW, that's why.
Where did Penelope Ford's push go? What happened to the hot angle? Miro left, all of a sudden became a heel, and they were like, okay, we're dumping these 2 trash bags who was hanging off his side.
Well,
too bad.
What's his face? Kip Sabian got injured, but that doesn't mean you don't. That again, you have all these like really hot, attractive, halfway decent wrestling women.
Yep.
But it's like, but all the Japanese girls. It's like, okay, but like Yuka Sakazaki. Had this been 2 years ago, I get it. Like they pushed her in the initial run of AEW shows.
Yep.
She was winning, like her and Riho were winning matches, and people were getting into them. And so even if you're like me and you're not down with the shimmer and the shine and the stardom and the whatever else they got going on in female Japanese wrestling, I at least started to see these people on TV, and I'm like, oh, I get it. She wears genie pants. She's cute and Japanese. My daughter would love her.
But that's the problem. That's all they give these Japanese girls. They don't give them any angle. Like, of course, you got take a look at everybody else on the roster.
It's also been a decade since she's last been on television in America.
Yes. So you need to introduce her, give her a reason for being, give her a character. Mm-hmm. The Japanese girls have no character. What is Yuka Sakazaki's gimmick? Tell me, what is it? Wears genie pants and from Japan. That's it, though. Yep. You don't know anything about her. Penelope Ford is like your hot, obnoxious blonde, and she's with Kip Sabian, blah blah blah. They got married, so there's storyline there. They give these girls nothing. But anyway, Yuka wins in 6 minutes 45 seconds.
Yeah, because the company favors the Japanese girls over all the American women, with the exception of Britt Baker.
But give them something to do. That's my argument. Give them a character and a story. That's all I ask. Don't just go, hey, it's a Japanese girl, cheer her. No, it's not good enough.
No, I agree with you, but that's it. But the company mindset seems to be like, oh, well, we're only making a television product, and this is like my big problem with AEW. They seem to only want to make a product for like niche, nerd wrestling fans.
Yep.
That would
They've accomplished that.
Who like it's, I'm not calling him a nerd wrestling fan, but let's say like Harry was here, Harry would make the argument that but that audience knows who she is and they want her to win. Great.
Yes, exactly.
So you'll spin in the same circle and you'll never grow and you'll just be a niche wrestling product. That's fine.
You're right on the money. I think you did call Harry a nerd. I think you did. I heard you.
Not me.
You did.
So in our featured match of the evening, shut up, Bailey. We have Darby Allin versus All Ego Ethan Page in a coffin match.
Okay, take a look at this. 15 minutes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You got a guy who's drawn big ratings for, believe it or not, a homegrown talent in Darby Allin is drawing ratings for this company. He's paired with Sting. They've done exactly what they need to do. And what's that, Mark? Give him wins. They've built him up. He's not trading wins back and forth with Orange Cassidy or Sammy Guevara or whoever else he's paired up with. He's winning. He's won 20 of his last 21 matches, except for that absolute beating he took at the hands of Miro, which is good because they've done something with Miro. So that win meant something. And now he's here against a guy who can hang with him in Ethan Page, and he wins again in a coffin match, which is his match. So you're giving a guy with character, you're defining his match, you gave him a mentor in Sting, you're doing all the right pieces of the puzzle to build a character, and he's drawing them ratings. This is the way you do it.
Yeah, my only sort of quibble about this match is, and I'm going to say this again when we get to Nick Gage versus Jericho, there's just too much of this sort of thing now.
Yeah. No question.
It's your garbage match of the evening. Okay.
Yep.
I don't want to spend too long on this because if people who have listened to our reviews before have definitely heard me say this, so it's more of the same. When you do 106 garbage matches in 106 weeks by 107, you're like, yeah, great. You guys know how to do garbage matches. Congratulations. So it becomes less about the match and more about the stunt. And the stunt here was Darby Allin yelled, "I regret nothing," and threw himself backwards into the coffin and crashed through it. Like, I'm sure that sucked and it looked awesome, but
it did look awesome.
But we had a whole 15-minute match that built to that particular stunt.
It's all about the stunt. It's all about the cheap pop. And I'm telling you, listen, they've done a magician's work here getting this kid over. I mean, he's 115 pounds soaking wet, but that crowd loves that guy. So there you go. You've done it. Good job, AEW.
All right, Fyter Fest night 2 was a week later, and we kicked things off with Chris Jericho versus Shawn Spears. Obviously, Chris Jericho beat Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears was allowed to use a chair. Jericho wasn't, so it was a lot of that. In terms of, I think, like selling that angle on the match, that psychology, I thought it was okay. I mean, hey, as we all know, Shawn Spears is a good hand. So, I mean, he was competently wrestled enough. Like,
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we have been just brutal on Chris Jericho's physique. He actually looks like he's lost some weight.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it. I mean, I know he's embarrassed of his physique, and he goes out of his way on Twitter, to show him, with his shirt up and, with his, he does the old fat guy trick. And you and I know what that is how you carefully pose to show, to cover up that under rim of gut with your pants.
Yeah,
so basically
I put my kids in front of me. That's how I do it.
Yes. But Jericho does I have the hand on my belt loop in the front. So he's casually covering up, the very bottom of his gut. I know your tricks, Chris Jericho. I know your tricks.
We see through you, Chris.
I've used them many a times on the female variety.
All right. So they announced after this. So I was on vacation when this happened. And so like I couldn't see it live or anything, but I had heard, but like all of a sudden, like my Twitter and everything blew up with the announcement that Fight for the Fallen, Nick Gage was going to show up and take on Chris Jericho in a death match.
Yep.
And of course, I haven't heard the podcast yet, but the very next podcast that Jim Cornette dropped was they've gone full garbage. And I'm like, oh,
boy, did they ever. Wow.
Yeah, well, that's kind of Nick Gage's shtick. But I tell you, my argument as to what made ECW so great was not obviously the wrestling, but it was and part of what made the WWE great during the height of the Attitude Era were the same thing. You never knew what was going to happen next.
Correct.
It could be something terrible, but there really was an element of surprise and just expect the unexpected. So it was must-see TV because you never knew who was walking out next. You never knew who they were going to drop off a 100-foot ladder into an ordinary drinking glass. You never knew, if someone was going to whip their dick out on camera. Like, you were just like, I don't know what's going to happen on this crazy program.
No, you're right on the money. And you talk about on your movie podcast about the craft. There's a certain craft that goes into building a movie. You know what I mean? You got certain expectations of how things play out, how tropes play out, all this type of thing. And ECW came at a time where you knew the formula. You knew that Raw would start with a Triple H promo for 20 minutes, that they would, set up the main event. You knew that the quarter hours were going to be important, that something important was going to happen. Because of that, ECW broke the mold. Like, you didn't know, like, in the middle of a match, that would all of a sudden become a four-way dance, which would be broken up by New Jack, which would set somebody on fire. You didn't know what was going to happen. And they broke the mold so hard that it shattered the industry. You're like, whoa, anything can literally happen. And you're right on the money with that. And, the craft of wrestling changed forever with ECW.
So that's where AEW has it over the WWE.
Yes.
AEW may pendulum between the hotness and the hot garbage in the same segment sometimes.
Yeah, Queen.
But you never know what's going to happen next. And I really like AEW is a fun watch. Even if I don't love every segment, I don't love every wrestler, and it sounds like I'm really negative on it. That's appointment viewing for me. Like, if I wasn't podcasting at that time, it's one of those things. Like, I have so much CW stuff loaded on my DVR because I've spent so much time podcasting over the past 6 months. I haven't been able to watch anything that I'm not talking about. So I have like every one of the CW shows and some extra stuff just loaded on there that I haven't even looked at.
Oh my God, good luck.
Because the first thing my point being, the first thing I always watch when I am able to sit and watch TV that isn't for the podcast is AEW. Right. It is the first thing because I want to know, like, oh my God, who popped out of a cake today, And so,
bad example.
So the point is, who would have fucking thought this garbage wrestler that his whole shtick is hitting people with light tubes was going to show up on a national television show?
No, man. The more I think about it, it should have been obvious that they were going to go after this guy because, AEW is all about the buzz. Who can we get? Who can we get? Mm-hmm. Who can we shock them with? And when you think about it, it's the obvious choice. Get Nick Gage on a show. But you'd think right away that you're going to be limited. Well, we'll talk about that later. We're blowing the load here on Nick Gage. Let's not do that. Let's talk about Jericho and Spears. 10:47. Jericho wins in what I like to call the first labor. And boy, it was a labor to get through. Jericho with the win.
I'm actually moving ahead. Kazarian versus Gallows.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Versus Jericho.
Thank you.
I don't care about this either. Speaking of things I don't care about. So Gallows beat Kazarian.
Kazarian's new gimmick is he's the elite hunter. So he blames them for the disillusion of his tag team, and he's hunting them and making life miserable for them. And he jobs out in 6 minutes, 53 seconds here to Doc Gallows, who I don't think has ever got a singles win on Dynamite at any point. But yet they put him over Frankie Kazarian. There you go.
Yippee skippy.
But guess what? Listen to this. One super quick fill-in. Guess who shows up on Impact Wrestling this past weekend?
Who?
Frankie Kazarian comes out of nowhere and attacks the Doc Gallows and the gang. He's there. He's Impact ready, baby.
Hang on 1 second. Yes. How can I help you? No, you have to be on camera and you have to talk into the microphone.
I want something to eat.
We'll get something to eat.
Hey, Jonas.
Okay.
I love it.
Screaming Jonas Radulich over there. Anyway, next one. So we go from him main eventing in a coffin match to middle of the card against Macaroni and Cheese or Wheeler Yuta or Yutan Joe or whatever the fuck this person's name is.
Wheeler Yuta once again with spectacularly bad ring attire coming to the ring. Decent match. Darby Allin wins. No problem at all with the coffin drop. Really no real reason to be here. You had Orange Cassidy being attacked on the outside by the Butcher because that feud is going places. And that's literally it that happened here. I'm
By the way,
loss.
you a little stinger. You know, you were there when he was Surfer Sting, and you were,
Yes.
he's your guy. He's forever your NWA heavyweight champion. Did the shin kicks with Orange Cassidy.
Oh, and that was all over Twitter. That trended all over the place. And so that one spot was literally a highlight. And Sting was right in. And you know what he did? You know how Sting pounds on his chest like a gorilla?
Right.
Sting did that in Orange Cassidy mode where he was just doing like little soft ones, like tip, 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 tip. It was so funny. It was good.
I'm teasing you because, like, look at your hero and look how far he's fallen. But he's also like 100 years old, and like, if they're gonna pay me to like do tappy shin kicks, like he doesn't care about the wrestling business anymore. Nobody does.
Well, listen to what his WCW theme song said. It just sets him up for his entire career. He does this, he does that, Mark, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's the man called Sting.
All right. So we have Hikuleo, I believe his name is, at ringside after Moxley and Archer video package. We have the women's championship match between Nyla Rose and
finally they've
Britt
been building
Baker.
this for Ava.
They've also had a million of these. This one went 12 minutes. I couldn't tell you anything about it. What did you
basically it was they were setting up that insurmountable odds. Nyla Rose is on fire. You got Vicky Guerrero saying that she's threatening, saying that Britt Baker's going to lose the belt. You got Rebel there, who's been she's been hot and cold with Britt Baker. You don't know if she's ready to turn on her or whatever the case might be. But Britt Baker wins this and actually breaks her wrist during this match, but continues on. And it happens early in the match. You'll see her favoring her wrist after one of the first moves. And this girl is just trudges on, man. She don't care. She is hot. She's one of the hottest properties they've gotten. She's even the cover girl for PWI last month. Like, she's on a trajectory upwards, this girl.
If she can stop, like, hurting herself, sure.
But you know what? She didn't take any time off. She showed up with that damn wrist brace on, and she kept on going. Good for you.
So I want to talk about this next thing because it annoyed the piss out of me. FTR versus and Proud and Powerful have a press conference, which they obviously seriously edited.
Oh, this was the worst.
Oh my God. Like the WWE promos are obviously scripted, and there's a lot of people just reading their lines, and they're not actors, so it sounds like it's reading script. And AEW, because everyone just sort of, go out there and yell fuck, okie dokie, and they do. And it's great because at least it sounds like semi-authentic. This was one where it was clearly scripted and no one knew what they were saying and they weren't talking to each other. This was horrible.
There was it Santana who started taking pictures of his family out of his pocket?
And then they cut him off. Like, did you notice that was a real
out of
hard
nowhere?
edit?
Like blatant cuts, like not even trying to do segues.
Right.
Like literally midstream as he was talking, they cut him off.
Yeah. It was
I don't understand.
I don't understand how you let an editor do that. Like,
pre-recorded and the worst.
Yeah, like you had time to fix this or do something different. How did you look at that and go, yeah, this is fine for television? Oh my God.
It just felt terrible. It felt horrible.
Yeah, I've got none of and then normally I like FTR's promos when they actually get television time and get to say stuff. Like here, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then the Proud and Powerful thing, like I got what he was going with it, but then they cut him off before he could make his point.
It was dog shit. Terrible.
All right, next we have Chavo and the Death Triangle interrupt Andrade. So Tony's interviewing Andrade, and and he introduces his manservant or whatever, Chavo Guerrero.
Who comes out to a huge pop, by the way.
He should have been riding a hobby horse.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I want Crazy Chavo back.
Me too.
Pac says the Death Triangle hides from no one, blah, blah, yakety schmack. This goes back and forth.
Do you care?
No, moving on.
Me neither. Do you care about the Death Triangle?
No.
Nope, let's move on. Orange Cassidy versus the Blade. Speaking of no one gives a shit.
Yep. Boy. So Orange Cassidy took on the Blade in less than 9 minutes. And then Cassidy, so I'll just read this. Bunny is back on the apron, but Statlander pulls her off. Bunny tosses the brass knuckles to the Blade, but Cassidy ducks, nailing the orange punch to score the win. Cassidy puts the brass knuckles on after the match and nails orange punch with them on before pocketing them. And then Jericho's with Alex Marvez. He says that if MJF is going to bring the most violent man in the business, then he's going to bring the most violent version of Chris Jericho, the Painmaker. And all the people who are fans of New Japan went, woo!
Yep, which is basically Chris Jericho with a top hat and eye makeup, similar to a Clockwork Orange.
No, he's doing King Diamond is what he's doing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's trying to like mimic King Diamond.
Oh, I thought he was doing a Clockwork Orange type spin there. But no, you're right. Okay. King Diamond it is. Makes sense because he's a metal guy, so there you go.
Yep. In our main event, we have Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer in a Texas death match. This is fine. These guys know how to fuck each other up. They know how to put on a good garbage match. And then the fight spills into the crowd where Archer picks up a fan and tosses him at Moxley. Awesome.
I loved it.
Archer pulls the mat out from the outside and goes to slam Moxley on the floor, and Mox hits a DDT on the concrete. The match is only won by knockout or submission, apparently, with the knockout meaning last man standing rules. Archer is bleeding, and Mox has a fork. He rams the fork into Archer's head. Yay! Okay. Moving forward, Moxley plants Archer with a paradigm shift, but he miraculously springs to life and flicks Mox off. Mox pulls out 2 barbed wire boards. Oh, yeah, I remember this now. And puts them on the tables outside the match because all I could hear is Jim Cornette going, "Why are you stopping the fight to build stuff?" Mox goes for the paradigm shift, but Archer grabs the fork and slams Mox through the barbed wire tables. Archer won an important match. This is not a drill. And this sets up his feud next week with Hikuleo for the IWGP title. So, yeah, Mox has no belts now. You know, this guy who was the guy who kind of started this, you know, in the mid-COVID era, going to different companies and wrestling for different belts and stuff like that. Now that's Kenny Omega, and Jon Moxley is just a dude who goes through barbed wire. Exactly right.
Well, you know what? It's a title change right there. I mean, or was it a title change? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he won it.
Yeah, he's a new champion. So Lance Archer, by knockout, wins the IWGP Championship right on the crux of New Japan coming to AEW. So we got Tanahashi about to make his debut, and you got Lance Archer on the top of the card right there. So and we get to see good old Hikuleo very shortly on the next episode, which is another conversation.
And I guess that's why they did it, because Mox really doesn't need a belt, and they need to, and Archer needs to do something. Plus, they need to give some sort of cachet and importance to the stuff happening with New Japan, since now they're doing timeshare with them as well. So we've been saying forever to put the belt on the Murder Hawk. So there you go. They did it. They put a belt on him. That's for certain. This was 12 matches. This needed to be one night and eliminate half of this.
Yes, please.
Get rid of Jon Mox versus Carl Anderson and keep Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley. Keep Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage. Get rid of Christian Cage versus Matt Hardy. Get rid of Sammy Guevara versus fucking Yuta. Get rid of Yuka Sasaki versus Penelope Ford. Keep Darby Allin versus Ethan Page. Keep Jericho Spears. Get rid of Doc Gallows and Ket Kazarian. Get rid of Darby Allin and Yuta. Keep Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. Is that 6?
Yeah, and you had the Murder Hawk in there, right? And Murder Hawk and Mox, yeah. That's all you needed. One night, jack up one night, way to go. But you know what? It's all about the ratings, so they're going to spread that out like peanut butter. But it was a very thin spread on this one, Marcus.
Yeah, I did
enjoy the shows though. So, but it would have been better with less.
If they're going to do like name shows like this, they need to keep it to one night and not break it up over 2 nights, because this was really one show spread out over 2 with a lot of stupid filler in between.
But the following week should have just been Dynamite. Instead, we move right into Fight for the Fallen. What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why they do it this way, because like the next the All Out's not until September, so like space these out a bit. Like okay, the homecoming one this week. Just because like they went back on tour and then like they're back in Jacksonville. Like I can see that. The one they're
Absolutely.
doing at Shea Stadium that they're calling Grand Slam, I can kind of see that one. Like when it's a fun event in a new place, you know, and they can really make a big deal about it. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. When it's like Blood and Guts, I get that. Like this, why not have done Fyter Fest in July and then keep Fight for the Fallen in August? Like, why?
Right, I agree.
Why do we need? Why does every? Because I'll tell you this, and like I love talking wrestling with you, but I can't keep up this pace. Like after Homecoming, if they don't take a break with a named event, I may have to not do this for a while.
Guys,
You know?
it's okay. Just do Dynamite. Just have a show named Dynamite. It's okay. We're good.
Didn't you ask me like once, like, hey, you know, why don't we do like weekly reviews? I'm like, because I can't keep up this fucking pace. That's why.
Oh, no. I'm with you. I'm with you, Mark Radulich. You're right on the money.
Well, let's take a pause for the cause here. And before we go into our next show, let's talk about our good friends at Grammarly. You use the Grammarly, Chris Bailey. I know you do.
I certainly do, you know, because I'm full of contextual mistakes, Mark Radulich. I am a walking contextual mistake. And boy, do I need an editor sometimes, especially when I'm blogging. And fortunately for us and for our listeners, we have Grammarly. Tell them all about it, Mark.
Well, Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes, while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork. Again, it's getgrammarly.com/W2Mnetwork to download Grammarly for free. All
Boom.
right. Fight for the Fallen. You know what I miss about the Fight for the Fallen event?
What's that, my man?
Big checks. Big
Yes.
checks.
Like, and over the top big, like not even like Price is Right big, like when they win the check, like an absolutely massive one where like
Has
six
to-
people has to hold this thing. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's like brought in on a crane. This is the whole reason to watch this. It's certainly ain't for the wrestling. I want to see big checks, man.
Yeah, give it to the veterans. Let's go. Let's do this.
All right, and now when it's become a meaningless match, but made me laugh because of what they were wearing.
Oh.
It's the Dark Order in a 5-on-5 match with the Elite, consisting of the Good Brothers, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. And because and again, this was my heart. I love this. We had synchronicity. They were wearing Elite Squad basketball jerseys because this was the same week that Space Jam came out.
It was absolutely, you know what, for a show opening, this is what you do. This is AEW showing WWE that, hey, we can sports entertain better than you guys. And boy, did they ever. This was a hot start to the show. You had the crowd going absolutely ballistic for the Dark Order and Mr. Cowboy shit himself, Adam Page. They were really super hot for this guy. They want him to face Kenny Omega at the main event. And then you had the Elite come out in the Space Jam uniforms. What did they wear? Was it Toon?
The Elite Squad. And
The Elite Squad, so good. This looked amazing.
My ass off at this. Like them dribbling the basketballs. Like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are such douchebags. They really are.
They out sports entertained the sports entertainers, and it was classic.
Yeah, by fucking far.
But let's talk about the stipulation in this one. So Adam Page and the Dark Order have to win to ensure that he keeps his future title match with Kenny Omega. So if any of this team on Adam Page's team loses, he loses his title shot. Like there's stakes at hand here. And guess what happens? Why don't you tell him, Marcus?
Adam Page ends up losing, taking the air right out of everyone in the arena.
Yep, it was like a balloon pop out of nowhere.
Yep. So yeah, the Elite Squad beat the Dark Order in 25 minutes and 35 seconds. And so, yeah, we're moving on from poor Adam Page. Like Adam Page is another guy who I know that he looks at the WWE and he's like, no, I see what you do to people. I'll be fine here. But is he any better off in AEW than he would be in the WWE arena? Because I kind of feel like he'd be in the same boat.
Yeah. I you know what? There's nothing really. I don't know. I think that they've done a better job of building like Adam Page in the past, I'd say 2 months than they ever had during their initial run. But you're right on the money with that. I don't know if there's anything else there really to hang your head on. So
let Adam Page and Adam Cole trade. Just do it even.
Yes, please. I think that Adam Page would be able to pull off the WWE style, no problem. At least NXT.
Yeah,
I think he would be a hot NXT star for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think I don't think they should put him on the main roster. I certainly hope not. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But
no, sir.
But I do think he would make a great addition to the NXT roster, and he'd be a guy that can carry that belt for a little while, depending on what how they're going to bend carrying Cross over the horse and fuck him. So
listen, if he was on the main roster, he'd be paired with Eva Marie and Dewdrop as like a gay cowboy who leads her to the ring. Okay. Fair enough.
Don't kink shame me.
I'm just talking money. I'm printing money here with that conversation. That's my booking part of the show here. Gay cowboy, Eva Marie and Dewdrop. Ride on the horse with no shirt on. There you go. Money made.
All right. Taz introduced in the next segment. Taz introduces Starks to the ring for his FTW title celebration. Taz has a band to play Starks to the ring. Do you remember when when Edge won the title from somebody and then was immediately injured during his celebration?
Yes, sir. Edge is one of those chronic guys who literally slips on a banana peel at will.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe don't do celebrations. People slip on confetti and die. Anyway,
I wish I slipped on confetti and fell during this next match after that tank of an interview that we saw last show.
The crowd chant, "We can't hear you." And Stark says it's because they are inbred. Ha ha. Stark says Cage has no charisma when he's standing next to him. Cage is here now. But like this was another situation where like it looked like he just ran out of the gym. Like he was
like a big dumb jock. Bruce from Archie Comics.
Like he's in the gym just lifting dumbbells. And it's like, hey, did he say my name? And like throws him down. Like, I'm gonna get you.
Oh, he looked like such a doofus. But anyway.
And this is where we got the announcement that Tanahashi will be showing up, and he'll be challenging the winner of the IWGP US title. So
why when we're teaching, our Japanese talent the English language, do we give them the worst scripted promo? It's like if it's not fluent conversation, you know what I mean? Like if you put a script in front of him, I know Tanahashi can deliver like a good, because I've seen him do promos in Ring of Honor and all this stuff, and he can talk to the crowd very fluently. But when he's reading from a piece of paper, it's almost like they've scripted him to speak in like stereotypical Japanese. I come to US and beat you. No, he can talk better than that. Just let him talk normally. He's good.
We got call. We got gas. We got a Baltimore Brown.
I never said that. That's not me. I'm just saying you can do better, AEW. Man.
That should be their tagline. AEW, we can do better.
They can.
Next, speaking of better, FTR took on Proud and Powerful. And let's see here. FTR actually got a win over Proud and Powerful in 8 minutes.
But what about Ortiz, Santana, and Ortiz's pictures of their mother and father? What happened?
Hey, it was just nice to see FTR get a win. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Move on. 8 minutes. Perfect. Good for you.
I don't know what they're doing with either of these 4 men, but who cares? Tony is with Britt backstage. Britt says she made Nyla tap with the broken freaking wrist. Yep. Britt says that she keeps getting hurt and Reba can't help her alone as everyone targets her. Then she goes off on the crowd and the viewers. I forget. Didn't she say that like she's getting a heater, like she's bringing somebody in that she didn't reveal who it was, right?
I think it's not going to be 1. It's going to be 2. I think they're pairing her with the Iconics.
That'll work for me.
Let me tell you something. That would be a super hot angle, but I think poor Reba is about to get the boot. I don't think this is going to be a 4-way dance, not a 4-horsewoman situation. She's getting the bootski.
The Iconics were so funny, They made so much of that gimmick, and it's really a telltale sign to WWE when you have gold in your hand and you don't know what to do with it.
Oh my God! It was an incredible gimmick, and man, when they won that, that was one of the few times that I got emotional about a women's tag match. Was when they won the tag titles at WrestleMania. Man, I was all in with those girls. I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
I was pissed when it happened then because I wanted Bayley and Sasha to have a longer run, but like ultimately. But ultimately, like the Iconics were, like when your business is entertaining and they're as entertaining as they are, like I don't understand how you fumble that ball. But yeah, if they put Britt Baker with the Iconics, I think that would be kind of hilarious. The other one, this is always like my go-to, and Glow's canceled. I don't know what the woman who is Awesome Kong is going to do next. Like Awesome Kong, I think they had her briefly.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Wasn't good.
And they paired her with Brandy, but Brandy sucks too, and everyone hates her. So like, why not bring Awesome Kong back and have her be the heater for Britt Baker?
Why not?
You know,
why not?
There you go.
Yep.
Britt Baker, Awesome Kong, and the Iconics. That'll work for me.
Or maybe they should pair him with the guy in the next match here, Hikuleo.
Nope. So
fair enough.
They announced that AEW Rampage comes to Chicago, and everyone went, look into my eyes. What do you see? It's the Cult of Personality.
Oh, yeah. Best in the world, baby.
Best in the world. Marvez is with Darby and Sting in a boiler room. Mick Foley says hello. Darby says he's here to prove he's the best in AEW, even if you think you're the best in the world.
Oh, what does that mean, Mark? What does it mean? What is he insinuating here?
It means they're going to waste CM Punk on fucking Darby Allin.
That's not a wasting him. No, he's going to go over Darby Allin. Darby Allin's going to look like a star, and both guys win. Hot win for the guy coming into the company, and a great stand-up with the best in the world. No complaints there. Do it.
No, you're wrong. CM Punk needs to be coming in on a horse to the Cult of Personality.
Oh, speaking of that, when we do the Amazon music plug, I guarantee you. So it looks like AEW has filed a copyright to try to attain Cult of Personality. Yes, a license for that particular song. Wonder why that would be.
No, he needs to come in on a horse and fire rockets at Kenny Omega. Yeah, I need Kenny Omega versus CM Punk day fucking one. Make it happen. Don't waste your time with the child who likes to play in coffins. No Darby Allin. No.
Oh man.
You know what? You want to pair up a new guy, a hot guy with Darby Allin. Give him Daniel Bryan. And let's see if he doesn't break.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the answer. Yep.
I don't give a shit what happens to Daniel Bryan at this point. Let him go have his 5-star Tokyo Dome matches with other people. Give me CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. It's happening, baby. It's happening.
They're going to get it, and it's going to get it right between the eyes. Hikuleo. Let's talk about him.
All right. Well, Granddaddy Haku is here to accompany his son Hikuleo to ringside for the match. Archer ends up retaining in a short match here. This was only 8 minutes long. This was a showcase match for Archer, and this was to get the New Japan stuff rolling on TV. It was fun.
I don't think it was any good. Hikuleo doesn't do much for me. You know what I mean? I've seen him in the ring before a couple times. Not super impressive. A big, tall, gangly type of wrestler. He's not 100% polished, but I think eventually he's going to have a good look once he gets toned up. So right guy went over here. Lance Archer's still your champion, and you got your New Japan presence on the show. So win all the way around here.
In the popcorn match of the evening, Christian and the Jurassic Express took on HFO. God, how do you feel if you're Jungle Boy right now?
No, listen to this. So Christian Cage is like a parasite. Okay, he's going to latch on. He's going to latch on to anything that's like reasonably popular in this company. If it's Darby Allin, and right now it's Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is a hot fucking property in AEW right now. And of course, the leech himself, Mr. Christian Cage, is going to attach himself like one of those alien sucking creatures right on his face, like, and suck all the personality out of him and the Jurassic Express. That's what we had here. But guess what? Jurassic Express goes over the good old Hardy family. And was there any question? No. 4 minutes, 30 seconds of almost nothing.
On my children's life, I couldn't tell you what happened in that match. Thunder Rosa, currently no longer with the NWA, now a full-time AEW talent, took on Julia Hart, who was with Brian Pillman Jr., who everyone wants to see get pushed after his appearance on Dark Side of the Ring. And AEW is like, well, we take our lessons from the WWE, and when we see somebody is naturally popular, we have to make sure we bury them under 6 feet of dirt.
But listen to this. I mean, go to your local hardware store, go to the fertilizer department, and find a bag of fertilizer. On the front of that fertilizer for green grass is Julia Hart, who is the most green wrestler that I have seen in a long time. Now, she's only, what is she, 18 or 19, maybe 20 if we're lucky. I mean, she's just barely passable in the ring. And Thunder Rosa, who can pretty well go with anybody, struggled to get a decent match out of this girl. It was off sync, it was out of bounds, and it was all Julia Hart. Thunder Rosa, God bless her, tried to wrestle with a coat hanger and couldn't get it done here. 4 minutes of pain was what we saw here.
Well, speaking of which, MDK all fucking day.
Oh, yeah.
Gage, Nick fucking Gage.
Domino's Pizza dropping partnerships and sponsorships all over the place. Let's talk about this. So this is the second labor of this ongoing saga with MJF and Chris Jericho, where he has to win 5 labors to finally meet MJF. I don't know what the point of that is. I don't know why he's going through the 5 labors to get his hands on him. I don't know. But he brought out Nick Gage, Mr. Bank Robber, Mr. I don't even wear a mask when I rob a bank. I don't give a shit. I got my pizza cutter. I'm going through light bulbs. I don't care. Nick Gage is on your screen. The ratings are popping like crazy. Domino Pizza is dropping like flies because all of a sudden when you go to picture-in-picture, what plays on the other side while he's carving up Chris Jericho's forehead with a pizza cutter? Yep, it's Domino's Pizza. And of course, the place goes wild. Twitter blows up. Chris Jericho, they start out slow, which was unusual. I'm like, oh, they're not going to give us a full-on death match. And then it all falls apart. And then you're like looking at your screen going, oh my God, they're going to murder each other on live TV. And people must have been going, what in the blue am I watching here? Extreme.
I have seen more shit happen. Like I've seen these guys like really like there were certain deathmatch staples that were not here, like the pegs in the head. I have seen. Well, they did the light bulb instead of the pegs in the head. They did the light bulb because they broke the light bulb over the knee, and then he was tapping that broken shard into his head. Oh, it was brutal. You need to watch the No Holds Barred series, okay? Because there's shit they do that they can get away with on those matches they can't do anywhere else.
The worst one I've ever seen is the pack of spaghetti slammed into person's head.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, that was brutal.
So I have seen, in watching these No Holds Barred matches, I have seen them do some staple things that they did not do here. But you did get light tubes. You got the jagged light tube to the forehead. They did the pizza cutter because that's what he's known for now.
Yep.
They did a pane of glass. I can't remember if they did barbed wire or not.
No.
But for a national television show at 20 minutes to 10 o'clock at night, this was good. I think most people don't watch. I mean, I've watched a lot in the past year. Most people don't watch death matches. So for them, this was really novel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I don't want to shit on it, because I know, for me, I'm like, oh, I've actually seen you try to kill people before. Like, easy, Radulich. We can't kill him the first night we do this.
And to burst the bubble, even when he was doing the pizza cutter spot, you could tell that he wasn't going all the way deep. You know what I mean? He wasn't making the cut, and the actual pizza cutter went sideways a couple times. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
but anyway, whatever.
This wasn't David Arquette. He wasn't trying to kill him.
But still, at the end of the day, you had Twitter with basically their jaw dropped on the floor, going, "Oh my God, what did I just look at?" And that's the intention. Perfect.
Right, and that's the thing. Like AEW giving people something you don't normally see. I'm like, what's WWE going to come back with?
Nothing. There's no course or recourse for them to follow up with that. They can't do it, and that's what that's the advantage AEW has in their court. They can basically do anything on that show, and they proved it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris Jericho, I think this was the one where he won with a shitty elbow. Like it looked awful.
The Judas effect. Yeah.
Yeah, like he just kind of bumped into Nick Gage, like drunken stumbling.
No, that's his finisher. That's the actual finisher. That's the Judas effect.
Normally, he has space to do it, and he spins, and he actually gets some torque on it. And then the guy bumps off it and sells. This one was kind of like, like you bump into a guy in a crowded bar, and and he flopped. Basically, it was awful looking. But whatever. The rest of them, I'm not gonna shit all over Chris Jericho too much, because like if you cut me up with a pizza cutter and threw me through panes of glass and then like now do a pirouette, I might fuck it up too.
Well, let me tell you something, Mark. Nick Gage made a mountain of money off this. His indie appearances, he instantly raised his dollar value like extremely high with that appearance. So it did work for Nick Gage. He didn't lose any respect.
Can we talk about real quick, since we have a little bit of time left before we have to end for the night, that Matt Cardona showed up to a GCW event and beat Nick Gage? And I bring it up because Nick Gage, for all like the shit that Jim Cornette talks about him, and for all the people who don't like death matches, like all these are garbage, like Pat Mullen, friend of the show, host of the History of WrestleMania podcast, co-host. They're just people who don't like this sort of thing. That's not real wrestling for them. But like for the people, for the people who like Nick Gage, he is fucking beloved. He should never lose matches. He is like everyone's favorite indie wrestler. And when he lost to Zack Ryder,
it was outrage. Absolute outrage. And the fans showed it.
Right. And so Dave Meltzer, like clutched his pearls and fanned himself and caught the vapors and was like, oh, and like shut the fuck up, Dave.
It was crazy. So basically what happened, Nick Gage lost the championship to Zack Ryder, and the place came on fucking glued. So the fans began throwing garbage in the ring, a la Hulk Hogan NWO heel turn, but it was to the extreme. Like glass bottles were flying. That ring filled up like a garbage dump. It was incredible visual.
So two things. One, Matt Cardona is now the most hated guy in wrestling. Oh, his cachet just went dude. He's selling T-shirts about this shit now. It's great.
He even I even sent you the Domino's Domino pizza commercial that he did. Where he's there with the pizza cutter, smiling with his championship. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so good. So so he immediately became he went from nobody to hot commodity in one match. That return match might actually rise above indie level. That might actually show up on a card people give a shit about. Do it in Impact. Make it and put it on the stage. You know what I mean? Do it.
Absolutely. It's money. And then branch off to GC. Give GCW something to do, man. Have if you're going to do a series of matches, make sure GCW gets one on that pay-per-view. Do it.
Yeah.
Get a rub. Get that promotion out there. I think this is a win-win-win. People talk about how disgusting it was with Gage and Jericho, but it's a win for the wrestling business all the way around. Mark Radulich.
I hope this is the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll close out for the night. I really hope that AEW continues a partnership with not just Nick Gage, but all of Game Changer Wrestling, and we get guys that show up to their matches consistently, like a Chris Dickinson, get some of these guys that have showed up to Bloodsport and whatnot onto their program. I think the whole sharing of talent, no forbidden door thing really makes it all exciting. I want to see Josh Alexander show up on an AEW show.
Oh, me too, man. It's going to be, I think this is one of the most exciting times in professional wrestling right now that I can speak of, because there's so much uncertainty. It feels like anything can happen again, and that's what was missing, Mark. And it's such a treat to watch AEW right now. And I hope there's nothing better when WWE gets backed into a corner, because then they start trying different things and breaking the formula. So here's to both promotions shining. Here's the WWE changing their direction and doing something that the fans want and bringing in new talent. And man, I think we got a couple of years of some fantastic action in front of us. I can't wait. The tides have turned.
I agree with almost all of that. I don't think WWE is going to change until Vince is gone, but maybe I'm wrong. Hey, just real quick before we go, I want to remind everybody that we do have a great sponsor in Amazon Music, and Amazon Music is giving away a free 30 days of their Amazon Music service. So Amazon Music, Spotify or Apple, allows you to do unlimited streaming of all their catalog that's uploaded to their server. And it's everything you could have ever imagined, whatever you can find on any other streaming service they have, and more. So if you want free 30 days to listen to experience all the greatness that is Living Color, not just Cult of Personality, you should click our link at getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. That's getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. And fill out the information, agree to the 30 days, and then go listen to all the great Living Color albums, because they were a fantastic band.
Yes, sir. And they even do auto-generated playlists. So I put it to the test the other day with Amazon Music, and I'm like, okay, let's see what you played for me, Amazon Music. Let's see how close you were. And they were pretty well bang on, with the exception of 4 Non-Blondes appeared in there. So I don't know how that happened. Maybe I do really like them. What's going on, Mark? What's going on?
My son constantly sings, "Hey, Jonas, come here." My son loves that song.
25 years and my life is still.
Come here. Sing "What's Going On."
What's going on?
Get out of here.
Well done.
What a ham. All right. Speaking of hams, that wraps up our coverage of Fyter Fest nights 1 and 2 and Fight for the Fallen AEW Dynamite. We'll probably be back on Friday to do Homecoming. That's what we're threatening to do. It'll probably be me and Chris again. I think Harry is bowing out of just the Dynamite specific shows, and I don't blame him. But we'll also have coverage for SummerSlam and NXT 36 when those come at you. So tune in for more of our wrestling coverage. I think that's all we're doing for the month of August. But as far as live wrestling goes, but non-live wrestling, the next History of WrestleMania show is August 11th, and we'll be doing WrestleMania 4 and 5. We're going to group that into one show.
And I'll be in studio for that one, on camera and shirtless.
I will not play WWE footage this time, so everyone can see you.
Please. I think you sandbagged me last time. I have my beautiful face, and I am a beautiful man. And he did not put it up. He did not put it up. Refused.
I don't understand how, if I'm using another YouTube video that's already been approved, how mine got blocked, but whatever. Now I don't play anything at all. Nope.
Boo to you, Mark Radulich.
Boo to YouTube in the WWE. All right. Please, if you found this somehow by accident, maybe someone's using it as like a torture device, go ahead. But you want to continue to listen, the link will be to our link tree in the description. And so wherever you're listening to it now, if you're like, well, I don't want to listen to it there, I want to listen to this other place, click the link tree and you'll find the other place. It's great. So we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Spotify, we're on anywhere that catches podcasts, and obviously YouTube. So anywhere you want to listen to us, we're there. Click the subscription button. You'll get all the new shows. The Radulich Broadcasting Network, above all else, drops a show every day. There's always new content.
Hell yeah.
Old and new. It's new. If you haven't heard it, it's new to you. And we've been doing this at least since 2013. So there's shit tons of stuff there for people to listen to. So go ahead and check it out. You might actually find something you like. Chris Bailey, tell them what you do.
Well, I don't do anything anymore except be on Mark's show. No, I'm kidding. I do another podcast over with Mr. Chris Sheehan called Quester Days, where we cover the Marvel epic run of ElfQuest. So if you're into that, and we also butcher the ads in the magazine as well, which is an extra bit of fun. So we cover it cover to cover, back to back, all the way around. Superblog Team Up is going to be returning as well. We got a couple events, one for October as Superblog Team Up goes to hell in late October. Look for that one. We could also be doing a fun little Legion of Superheroes, everyone's favorite super team. Well, at least one of mine. And we'll be covering that as well. So, the blog front, the podcast front, Chris is a busy man. So there you go. And you'll see my beautiful, beautiful face on the 11th. You will.
All I know about Legion is Lobo and I swell up like this. That's all I remember from you.
You know who you would be if you were a Legionnaire?
Who would I be?
You'd be Podcaster Kid.
That's a great place for us to end the show. Okay.
That failed. That gimmick failed. Boo! I suck.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us on TV Party tonight for our review of Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. For Chris Bailey. Good night. Good. Be well, be safe, and behave.